I'm going to file it in its proper place. That's where it belongs, the trash, because that's what it is.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
I mentioned the UAW, and we're going to talk about that because last week we talked about Shawn Fain's the members' demands that he presented to the big three automakers, including Stellantis. And so this week he has gotten some of the responses to the members' demands. And folks, they are not great. They're not great. So he went on a live stream on Tuesday of last week and talked about and read off from the company proposal what they wanted their workers to have to go through. So let's play this first clip of Shawn Fain.
Stellantis has passed over a list of initial proposals that are riddled with givebacks. It's amazing to me that I open this first page here, and the first highlighted item here is absenteeism. You know, it's a pathetic irony that Carlos Tavares can't bother to show up to bargaining, and that Mark Stewart, CEO, was late showing up to the first opening of bargaining. And as they move forward, they want to talk about absenteeism with our workers. Another part of this, we have to reflect about, we hear about absenteeism all the time, and this is something that really pisses me off when I hear these companies keep beating this to death. We are the most overworked country in the world. Our members, our workers in the United States put in more hours than any country in the world.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's important. So that point that he said about absenteeism is very important. And they put out some numbers about that. And so Stellantis said, or maybe it was GM, they said, we have lost, get ready for this, it's a big number, $217 million because of absenteeism. And so, wow, you hear that number and you think, man, that is a lot of money that Stellantis claims to have lost. That's crazy. And so the thing that you should do after that, if you are, remotely inquisitive or critical of bosses, is I wonder what their revenue was. And actually, if you take a look at their revenue, I can't remember what the number was. It was some billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue. And so if you divide that $200 million that they claim to have lost, which, I mean, that's just a claim. That could just be a lie. But even if we take it at face value, if you divide that by their total revenue, they lost 0.08% of their total revenue to absenteeism, quote unquote. And so that's a silly thing to be concerned about if you are the big three. But to the extent that absenteeism is an issue, one of the reasons for absenteeism, it would be because they pay so many of their temporary and second-tier workers so much less. For example, the starting wage at Ultium, which is a battery manufacturer, is $16 an hour with a top out of $20 an hour after 7 years. Okay? So, you make that little money without, and that's as a temporary employee, and you make that little money without all the benefits, then maybe, you're going to be absent sometimes, right? You're maybe not going to be as motivated to come to work, reasonably so. And then obviously you got to take into account, exactly like Shawn Fain said, American workers put in more hours every week than any other industrialized country. And we have got to turn that back. We've got to take back more freedom from the boss, because we have allowed them to steal too much of our time. So we have to take it back, and Shawn Fain is really kind of leading the charge. The Teamsters, there were, like I said, there were a lot of wins, but they really, there were some things that were left on the table, and I think that time off is a big thing that they really didn't fight that much for. And Shawn Fain is coming out swinging for a 32-hour work week for 40 hours of pay, and that's really important. That's doable, and they deserve it. And additionally, when they're talking about absenteeism, he mentioned that the CEO did not show up to the initial bargaining, and the COO was late to the initial bargaining. And then after the initial bargaining, the COO, Mark Stewart, went to his second home in Mexico where he has been for the last 2 weeks, where he has sent letters to the UAW telling them in the negotiations that they should be, quote, focusing on reality.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
So I don't think it's realistic for these executives to make tens of millions of dollars and have second homes and have the time during negotiations to take 2-week vacations. I don't think that's realistic, frankly. Anyway, let's go to the second clip from Shawn Fain. There's some more that Stellantis is wanting to take from these people.
And a sad reality of this and what they proposed, rather than taking seriously our demand to eliminate tiers, Stellantis proposed the creation of new ones. You know, when I flow through here, you know, instead of getting to work on negotiating the significant wage gains of our members that they've earned and deserve, Stellantis is threatening our profit-sharing formula. We propose the reestablishment of retiree medical benefits for all workers. Stellantis has proposed cuts to our existing medical coverage. We propose more paid time off for workers to spend with their family and friends. Stellantis has proposed the elimination of the holiday conversion option, fewer vacation days for new hires, and less choice of when we can take vacation. They've also proposed to expand their right to force members to work overtime. Stellantis has proposed cuts to their 401k contribution, gutting the transfer rights based on seniority. They've also proposed eliminating the moratorium on outsourcing. They've also proposed to eliminate the cap on the use of temporary employees, and have disrespected our trades with proposals that would make it easier to outsource more of our work. Stellantis even had the nerve to demand the unilateral right to demand further concessions during the life of the contract, and for the union to allow the company to make those changes without a vote of our membership.
That is some pretty galling proposals from the company. Again, let's remember, in years of record profits, we talked about when Shawn Fain introduced his members' demands, he went over the company's profits and talked about how they have literally never made more money. Never made more money in the history of the company. And in this time of record profits, they are still trying to take from the employees. I've got one more clip of these proposals from Stellantis, so let's get that.
Just a few more things I highlighted. You know, increase the number of pay periods required to work for full vacation entitlement. So now, not just the 26 weeks you got to get in a year, they want you to work more weeks to qualify for your full vacation allotment. They want to create a no-fault-based absenteeism system where they can punish workers more. Company has the ability to schedule mandatory vacation shutdowns without restriction on duration, timing, notice, and cancellation criteria. They want to reduce the company's notification requirements for modifying shift start times. They want to enable supervisors to perform bargaining unit work. But, you know, the biggest one to me was this issue about adding a new letter establishing the ability to reopen and bargain provisions of our agreements that don't require ratification.
Yeah. Crazy stuff here by management of Stellantis. And so Shawn Fain reacted reasonably to these proposals. Let's see what he did.
Well, I'll tell you what, brothers and sisters, when we get things like this from the company and they want to sit there and talk about they're not asking for concessions or looking for concessions, everything they're looking for in this document is about concessions. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do with their proposal. I'm going to file it in its proper place. That's where it belongs, the trash, because that's what it is.
All right, there we go. I liked that little animation that Joe did. But that's exactly right. That's where that belongs. You know, it's the gall of them to try to steal more money from these people after so long of these workers giving concessions. Shawn Fain also did a live stream with Bernie on Thursday night, I believe it was, with a couple of UAW members. And one woman talked about how they have these periods of 90 days. The company is allowed to call, to to call these periods in 90 days where they have to work every day without a day off for 90 days, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day for 90 days. And you can't take off or take a day off, go to church, take your, anything that happens with your kids. You can't go to it. You can't take time off or you'll be reprimanded and disciplined, potentially terminated. 90 days. I mean, that's insane. And they're wanting more authority to take time away from people. It's just disgusting, really, what's going on with these companies, and we're looking forward to seeing the UAW win these, whether they have to strike or not. They obviously deserve every single thing that they're asking for. So we're going to continue to talk about that as these negotiations continue.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.